Mr. Beast a couple weeks ago made a huge video about curing tons of people's blindness. And me being a huge comic book geek, I immediately thought of the time Superior Iron Man cured Daredevil's blindness, but then returned the favor by giving him brain damage. Now, to explain why this happened in the first place, it all comes from an event called Marvel Axis where heroes became villains and villains became heroes. And after this event ended, Tony Stark stayed a villain. In this instance, he dipped on crime fighting entirely and developed a symbiotic suit of armor that could protect him from anything, while at the same time also developing an app called Extremis 3.0, which could literally make you the perfect you. Sounds super dope, right? But there's a huge con to this, because the Extremis app has an auto renewal rate of $100 a day, and I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a steep price alone. But it also comes with insane withdrawals if not used every day, causing most people to get hooked on it instantly. This app also ends up causing a divide between super rich people that can afford it and the people who are just trying to get by, as the perfect people beef with those they deem lesser than, basically on sight. But one hero in San Francisco doesn't like a whiff of this, and that'd be Daredevil. So Daredevil stops by Tony Stark's tower to put a stop to his Extremis app. However, Tony just grabs Daredevil by the throat, telling Daredevil to get a check on his attitude as he throws Daredevil off the side of his tower, as Daredevil would nearly drown if not for his enhanced senses. But coming back up for air, he'd hear that the party would essentially go wild after Tony made Daredevil look bitch-made, while Tony would also declare that the following day, if people are within 50 feet of Iron Man, they will receive a free dose of Extremis for 24 hours. So the next day, Tony flies all around San Francisco, getting a thrill watching people trample over one another just to get free Extremis, until one man from the crowd would call out Tony and his app and how he's essentially turned the whole city into drug addicts, and how the Extremis app ruined his son's life, pulling out a handgun, firing it in Tony's face point blank, only for Tony to drag the man all the way up into the sky, explaining that his face is surrounded by a see-through metal and that his face is just too pretty to be covered by a mask. And shooting him in the face he can tolerate, but what he can't and won't tolerate is someone attacking his product. So he starts to check the man's background and finds some info to use as leverage on the man to make the man go hush hush about his product, as Tony gives the man the ultimatum that if he doesn't use the Extremis app, Tony will drop him and ruin his son's life. But if he does use Extremis, everything will go away. So the man with not much to do, he caves in and uses the app, as they both land back down with smiling faces and a fake story, but Daredevil heard the whole thing. So after a crazy night of partying, Daredevil would swing by Tony's tower and kidnap a completely wasted Tony, where Daredevil would bring Tony to a secure area where Tony wouldn't be able to call his armor, so Daredevil could get answers to what's really going on with Tony. But Tony would try to fight back with no avail, as the room would be completely dark and Tony wouldn't be able to see a thing. However, in Daredevil's effort to trap Tony, it'd end up the other way around, as Tony planned for Daredevil to take him captive, so Tony could use his superior Iron Man suit to take down Daredevil easily. A while later, Daredevil would come to with a strange feeling he hasn't felt since he was a young boy, as Daredevil would lift his head in utter disbelief that he can finally see again after so long. Meanwhile, Tony's just like next to him saying, yeah, the first face you get to see is mine. But Daredevil just blocks Tony out of his head, as he can't believe he can finally see himself in the mirror again. This is also when Iron Man starts to tell Daredevil that he whipped up a special concoction just for Daredevil, and that he'll always need boosters if he wants to keep his vision. Free of charge, of course, by Tony. But Daredevil sees this as nothing but a bribe, and that Tony just wants him addicted to Extremis like everybody else, as Daredevil demands to know what gives Iron Man the right to play God, to which Iron Man scoffs at him, taking off the shades, getting in pure villain mode to say that he's not playing a god. He's just been playing human this whole time, leading Iron Man to clock Daredevil in the face as he leaves, right before saying that he doesn't have to justify himself to Daredevil, saying that if he wants his sight, come to him, and if Daredevil doesn't, it'll wear off soon and Daredevil can enjoy riding his high horse through his already dark world. Daredevil then tries to catch Iron Man, but instead follows him to the window, where he lays eyes on the beautiful view and immediately reaches for his phone, later arriving at Foggy's doorstep, removing his shades to just see his best friend's face for the only time he has left until his radar sense fully returns. And days later, Daredevil would arrive to Stark Tower to tell Iron Man that he will expose Iron Man and Extremis with the evidence he's accrued over time, and tries to make a getaway from Iron Man. But sadly, Daredevil didn't anticipate Iron Man's new symbiotic armor and its capabilities, as it consumes Daredevil, allowing Iron Man to hold him captive and finally deal with him permanently, as Iron Man would place Daredevil on a torture device and shock his brain so much that the following day, Daredevil would wake up with complete amnesia from the last few weeks and a huge brain injury, as Tony would leave Daredevil letting him know that all the bills are covered, he should spend a few weeks in the hospital, and that he's in safe hands, ending the story. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the flip side.